When the cotton-based economy of Mesa, Arizona began to falter and fail in the early 1920s, community leaders noticed with increasing alarm the growing number of individuals and families in need of assistance. To deal with this problem, a group of local religious, political, and educational leaders came together in 1921 to form the Mesa Welfare League, the earliest name of what would later become the Mesa United Way. Motivated by a true compassion for the needs of neighbors, friends, and business associates, those early Mesa leaders organized the collection and distribution of food and clothing so that, as reported in the newspaper of the day, every needy person may be relieved with the least possible delay. Though times have changed and Mesa has grown from a tiny spot on the map to its current status as the largest suburban city in America, that spirit of compassion, of care for one another, has become the cornerstone, the legacy, passed from generation to generation. Listen now as young and senior Mesa residents, ordinary folks, put into words how this legacy of caring has impacted their own lives. Listen as they talk about why caring for their neighbors means so much to them today, nearly a full century later.
We're fortunate enough every day to have a job. Times are very, very rough these days, and our economy's tough. And if we had the ability to give even $1 to help, that dollar makes a difference. We talk about food banks and things like that, what they can do. Lunches for kids that go to school every day and don't have lunch. It's important. It's important. If we have it and the ability to give, we should share.
It's good because then you give to somebody, they feel good, and then afterwards you have like a good vibe to you, so then you just walk around feeling good all day.
When I realized that I could give art to children, and I knew I could do it through the United Way.
In some ways, being homeless might have saved my life, being offered that free mammogram, because had we been just living in our apartment struggling, it never would have crossed my mind to have one done.
To me personally, how it feels, I don't look at it for a credit, oh, you gave X amount of dollars or anything else. It just, when I see the stories and the outcomes and things that occur when you give, to me, it just makes me feel complete.
When I was growing up, my mother used to pay the bills and do the checkbook. And after my dad's check got deposited, she would say something like, "There's no money left for the rest of the month." I would look at the calendar and see that there were maybe 28 or 29 days left. And I worried about how we were going to be fed and how we were going to survive, because as my mother said, there was no money left. I would lie awake at night and plan ideas for how I was going to feed my family. It took me years to figure out that my mother was saying that after the bills were paid and after everything that was budgeted for was taken into account, there wasn't going to be any extra left. And then I realized that for many other people, this worrying and lying awake at night and trying to figure out a plan to feed the family was not a theoretical exercise. They had to worry every single day about how they were going to take care of their family and how their family was going to be fed.
When I was a little girl, my parents owned a grocery store, and I remember that a couple with a 10-year-old boy walked into our grocery store and asked if they could exchange a sewing machine for food. And I remember that my mom said, "Wow, that's great. How did you know that I was looking for a sewing machine?" My little brother was there. He was about 5 and quickly said, "Mom, you don't even sew." And my mom quickly stepped on his toes and he ran off. It was an awkward moment, and I remember my mom saying, "Help yourself to whatever you need from the store." The folks got what they needed, and afterwards I asked her, what was that all about? My mom said, obviously they needed something, and it is important that people feel that they have their dignity. You know, my mom never used that sewing machine, but we look to that as a great reminder when folks need help. You help them, and you try to help them keep their dignity.
My name's Adam. I'm a law student at ASU. And being a law student, I don't have very much money. but I still want to help out in any way I can. So one thing that I do is I try to organize various projects that I can invite my friends and family to. One example of one of these projects was a couple of years ago for my wife's birthday. She loves doing puzzles, and so we invited all of our friends and we had a puzzle competition. So each friend or each couple to enter the competition had to give $10, and then the winner got $20 or something like that. But all the rest of the money we were able to donate to the Foundation for Blind Children. So it wasn't very big, it was only $100 that we raised, but it was fun and we enjoyed it and my friends had a good time. And it was $100 that we were able to give to the Foundation for Blind Children. So it's just a fun little experience and a way that we could give back to our community.
Crescent Crown believes in supporting the community that we live in, and we do this by getting involved with agencies such as Mesa United Way. Our foundation is that we would like to give back to the communities that we live and work in. We work here, we live here, and we want to do what's best for our community. Giving back to the community is reaching a fulfillment within, a fulfillment of oneself that is achieved by helping others. I learned about giving back through my father. As a young teenager, my father woke me up on a Saturday morning at 5 a.m. and took me to a Special Olympics event. I didn't want to go, and I didn't understand why he was bringing me to this. And I can only say that I had an amazing time. It was really about reaching an understanding of what giving back really means and the joy in helping others.
Giving is giving back to our community. For me, it's not just a monetary giving, but it's giving service to our community. This has been the driving factor for my involvement in our community. As a citizen of Mesa, I have so many benefits. I feel very lucky to have the life that I have today. And there are so many people out there that don't have that luck. I believe it is our obligation to help support and give to our community. Not just give without expecting that individual to have a role in taking care of themselves, but to empower them to become better citizens. Sometimes they just simply need a jump start in their life journey. I always say giving is part of my genes because when I grew up, that's what we did as a family. I watched my parents, Warren and Wilma Langfoot, give to the community. One of my fondest memories was watching my dad play Santa Claus for the families in our small Iowa community. We would go with him, my sister, my mother, and I, and we would get to see the joy on the children's faces. It made us feel so good. Giving back was like learning to read in my family. Giving was not an option. You simply helped other people.